This weekend, the Game Maker's Toolkit Game Jam took place. A game jam is a game-making competition where you, either alone or in a team, have to make a game in a limited time frame that adheres to the given theme. Game Maker's Toolkit is a YouTube channel where former games journalist Mark Brown analyzes certain game design challenges and likes to dissect games to find out what makes them great. It therefore isn't really a big surprise that the themes of the GMTK jams usually heavily evolve around a certain game design aspect that he found interesting by researching his videos. This year's theme was Only One. Take something that players usually have plenty of and limit it to one. Lives, bullets, resources, you name it. Take this vague theme and make a whole game from it in only 48 hours. Since this wasn't the first of his jams I participated in, I knew what to expect. But this year's theme really caught me on the wrong foot. The jam started on Friday evening and it was only until Saturday afternoon, after a lot of bouncing ideas around with other participants of the jam via Discord, that I finally came up with a game idea that got me excited. A first-person horde mode style shooter where you only have one resource that both acts as health and ammunition. The idea was small enough to finish it in the remainder of the jam, about 36 hours. It fit well to the theme and had a lot of potential to get a very polished result in the end. I mean, all you need were a level, some weapons, and some enemies. Sounds easy enough, right? So I went on, started Unreal Engine 4 and set up the project using the first-person template. And to be honest, it was quite straightforward. I managed to get the core gameplay loop running in only a couple of hours. Wave after wave of enemies would spawn, and I even managed to implement it in a way that would allow me to fine-tune every aspect of it quite nicely. I got damage working, and the sharing of health and ammo was also very straightforward. This is the one thing I love about UE4's blueprints. They get stuff done fast. It's not always pretty, but it's quick. My original plan was to use as much pre-made art from the marketplace as possible. I'm not an artist, and over the last few months there were a lot of free assets pack released on the marketplace. And of course I also have spent my fair share on assets in the store. In the end, however, I decided to go for my own art. Since the gameplay at this moment felt a lot like a 90s shooter, I thought making it look like one would be cool. And since I already had a copy of a neat little voxel editor called Cubicle, I decided to give that one a try. I went to my Steam library, downloaded Cubicle, and fired up a tutorial on YouTube. Some 30 minutes later I felt like I knew all the basics and I jumped into the tool to model my first art asset for the game. The health pickup I made was a simple 3-dimensional cross. It worked out quite nice, and finishing gave me confidence that I could maybe really get the art done all by myself. The next model I made was what was still then supposed to become the weapon for the game. After browsing some inspiring screenshots of 90s games, I came across an image of a lightning shooting trident. That was pretty cool. I thought that it would be really nice, unusual kind of weapon. Of course, the crude model I made only vaguely resembles what I had in mind, but I just went with it anyways. Next up were the enemies of the game. My inspiration for them were Imperial scout drones from Star Wars Empire Strikes Back. You know, the black ones with the tingly bits hanging off of them. The final model didn't look anything like those, but it was a floaty thing that would end up attacking you. It was simple, it was ugly, but it worked. It was around that time that I had somewhat of an epiphany. What if instead of the game being a classic first-person shooter, we turned it into some sort of a 3D shoot-'em-up style of game? It all made a lot of sense. My weapon and enemy model already looked like spaceships anyways, so I went for it, tried it out. It was quite straightforward to get the floating movement working for the player. The newly gained freedom of movement almost instantly made the game feel a lot better. After this change, everything came together and all the building blocks for a cool game were there. All I had to do now is to add more variety to the game. I made some more enemy variations, some that could shoot you, some that are faster and will hunt you down quicker, one that is a little bit more tanky and also takes longer to kill. I even managed to add some nice music that I found from the marketplace, and I found some great weapon and engine sounds on open game art. Paired with some nice looking explosions and some environment art that I made up myself using Cubicle, some crude shader work, the end result made me really happy. I made a unique looking, cool sounding game that had fun gameplay and a nice difficulty curve. I'm really happy with this game, especially since it's the first game where I almost made all of the 3D models myself. In fact, I am so happy with the outcome of the jam that I decided to keep going on with the project and see what I can make of it. There are plenty of interesting new gameplay systems and ideas that I hadn't even a chance to try out yet. The game can be downloaded on itch.io. You can find the link in the description below. If you happen to try it out, please comment below and let me hear what you think about it. If you like the game and this little post-mortem, make sure to like the video, it helps out a lot. Also, if you want to stay updated on the progress of the game, make sure to subscribe to the channel. For UE School, this is Chris, signing out. Have a good one, guys.